I love her as a person as well as a singer. I think she's the greatest, and that's Ella Fitzgerald.
Did you know Marilyn Monroe went from being a fan of Ella Fitzgerald to a close friend? Before even meeting, Monroe spent hours listening to Fitzgerald's music at the recommendation of her music coach to improve her own singing. An instant fan, Monroe made sure to see Fitzgerald perform live, and the two became fast friends. Fitzgerald spoke highly of Monroe and often discussed the actress's role in helping her reach a new level of fame. Fitzgerald struggled to get gigs at large clubs due to her race and appearance, and upon learning that the singer was having trouble, Monroe stepped in. The actress promised the owner of the Macombo, a popular LA nightclub, that she'd not only sit front row at every show, but also bring her famous friends like Judy Garland and Frank Sinatra. Fitzgerald sold out 10 days of shows in a row. Despite her success, Fitzgerald continued to face racism. After traveling to Colorado to see Fitzgerald perform, Monroe witnessed the singer being turned away at the front door. The actress refused to enter the venue unless the singer was allowed through the front entrance with her. The two walked in through the front, and Fitzgerald soon received the overdue respect she deserved. Referencing her friend's support, Fitzgerald said, "Marilyn has a heart of gold. She was a true friend who believed in me and helped me break down barriers in an industry that wasn't always fair." Marilyn Monroe and Ella Fitzgerald's friendship is truly one for the books. Here's to the power of female friendship.
Marilyn Monroe stories that I just don't think is talked about enough is Marilyn using her A-list celebrity status to change the trajectory of Ella Fitzgerald's career forever. The story goes that one day Marilyn was told by a singing coach to listen to Ella's music as it would help her become a better vocalist herself. And if there's one thing you need to know about Marilyn, it's that she took her craft very seriously. So she listened to Ella's music for hours and became a huge fan of her. And eventually in 1954, she went to go see Ella when she was playing in Los Angeles, and the two of them became fast friends. I guess the two of them bonded over navigating fame, their failed marriages, and their really traumatic childhoods. One thing that I really love about Marilyn is that it seems that she was very protective of other women in Hollywood, and I think that's because she was treated so poorly by the men in Hollywood. And when she found out that Ella couldn't book a gig at a very famous nightclub in LA, she decided to contact the club owner herself to see if she could change his mind. Only two other black women had ever played at this club before, those women being Dorothy Dandridge and Eartha Kitt. And the owner of the club felt that because Ella Fitzgerald was a heavier set black woman that she lacked the glamour to sell out a bigger venue like his. And that was not going to fly with Marilyn Monroe. So she mentioned to him that not only would she sit front row every night that she performed at his venue, but that she would also bring her celebrity friends with her to watch Ella. Marilyn reminded him of how much publicity this would bring his venue, and so in March of 1955, he let Ella play at his venue for a few weeks. And it's a good thing he listened to her, because opening night, Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland attended Ella's show, and Marilyn kept her word and attended every night front row, and because of this, the show sold out, and he ended up having to add another week to Ella's run. And Ella said that because of Marilyn doing this for her, she never had to play a small jazz club again. Although Ella said that this changed the trajectory of her career forever, it didn't mean that she started being respected. Although Ella was selling out these major venues now, she was still being treated differently because of the color of her skin. And oftentimes, her and other black artists would have to enter through other entrances at these venues, even though they were the ones selling out the venues. And oftentimes, when these black artists were done performing, they were then escorted off the premises immediately, which is just awful. And when Marilyn found out that some of these clubs were doing this to her friends, she decided she was going to put a stop to this. One time, Marilyn Monroe flew to one of Ella's gigs in Colorado, and she told the club owner that if Ella didn't get to enter through the main entrance like Marilyn Monroe did, then Marilyn Monroe was not going to be attending his show. So it's safe to say that that night Ella got to walk through the front entrance of the club. And I don't know if this is true, I am not going to speak on Ella's experience, but according to a lot of the research that I've done online, because of this, word got around to other clubs, and eventually Ella was able to be treated with the respect that she deserved at every single venue that she performed in. I hate that Marilyn ever had to do any of this because Ella's talents should have spoken for themselves. And it just really makes me mad that although these black artists were selling out these venues for these club owners and making them so much money, that they were still being treated differently because of the color of their own skin. And during Black History Month, I just wanted to make this video to remind people that a little kindness can go a long way, and you never know the impact that your actions can have on someone else's life, so make them count for the positive. And in case anyone is wondering, Ella remained a very close friend of Marilyn's until she passed away in 1962.
I am so glad that you brought this up. I'm sorry I'm talking so low, I'm at work still. But yes, I will wholeheartedly say that Ella and Marilyn Monroe had the best friendship, especially at that time. Because there were clubs that Ella could not perform at because she was black. And Marilyn went out her way to tell these owners, like, hey, you have to have Ella on your set. And Marilyn was always front row center where Ella could see her at every performance that she was at. And they both had like a traumatic childhood, so they were able to connect about that as well. And they overall had a respect for one another, just like how Frank Sinatra is with her. They just respected each other's craft, and they didn't play when it came to Ella.
Let's talk about the relationship with Marilyn Monroe and Ella Fitzgerald. Ella Fitzgerald was known to have said, I owe Marilyn Monroe a real debt. Back in the day, there was this club in California called Macombo. Ella Fitzgerald, who was Marilyn Monroe's favorite singer, could not get booked there. Now, many people say it was because she was black, but Eartha Kitt and Herb Jeffries had played there before. Word on the street was it wasn't just that, it was also because they didn't think that Ella had the right type of sex appeal and glamour because she was overweight. Well, Marilyn called the club and she said, book her immediately. She's my favorite singer, and if you do, I will sit in the front row every single night and watch her, and the place will go crazy and the press will erupt and your club will become famous. And that is exactly what she did. And Ella performed, and that is why Ella said, I owe everything to Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe was quite the trendsetter, and she loved jazz and she loved to sing, and she sang a few of Ella's songs in a different way also on some of her recordings.
Marilyn Monroe helped skyrocket the career of Ella Fitzgerald by helping and advocating for her as a black small singer in the 50s. And here's the heartwarming story. Marilyn Monroe was a big fan of Ella and had even admitted this.
Well, my very favorite person, and I love her as a person as well as a singer. I think she's the greatest, and that's Ella Fitzgerald.
The owner of the Macombo didn't really care about Ella's immense talent if she wasn't, hot and svelte.
Marilyn read this in the paper. She got very annoyed. So she called the manager and said, hi, this is Marilyn Monroe, and if you rebook Ella Fitzgerald, I will come every night to hear her sing. Both shows.
Advocating for somebody like Ella Fitzgerald when she did not have to, and when it was unpopular. This speaks to her principles.
Ella did say Marilyn Monroe was ahead of her time and she didn't even know it.
Marilyn Monroe was there every night to see her perform sitting in the front row. When Marilyn was entering the club, she saw Ella going inside the Mocambo nightclub through the back and called her out, and then escorted Ella to the front of the club as they both entered together. Both remained good and strong friends. Marilyn said that when she died, she wanted her to play at the funeral and have a party afterwards. However, one of her ex-husbands controlled the funeral, and everything she wanted to happen in her funeral didn't ever happen. No celebrity in those days had the advocating kind of personality as Monroe did. Marilyn was a fan of civil and equal rights, and believed everyone deserves the same opportunities. Ella then said how because of Marilyn, she never had to work in a small nightclub again, and that she was ahead of her time. And Ella one day became the first black woman in history to win a Grammy with her amazing talent, and Marilyn's help paving the way for her into the music business.
Ella Fitzgerald was already considered the undisputed queen of jazz by the 1950s. However, racial divides still shut her out from certain stages. It would take an unconventional partnership with Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood's golden girl, to help change all that. In 1954, fate brought these two icons together in Hollywood at a jazz session at the Tiffany Club. Marilyn immediately fell in love with Ella's talent. So, when the posh Mocambo club in LA refused to let Ella grace its stage, Marilyn personally called the owner of the club. She told him if Ella was given a chance to dazzle audiences there, Marilyn would be front and center every night. The owner realized he couldn't risk losing the huge press coverage, so he agreed.
It might not seem surprising that two women who became icons in the 1950s, like Marilyn Monroe and Ella Fitzgerald, would be friends. However, Monroe's significant role in boosting Fitzgerald's career stands out in their relationship. Fitzgerald's breakthrough came after she performed at the Mocambo nightclub in Hollywood, a booking she secured thanks to Monroe. Initially, the nightclub's owner was hesitant to book Fitzgerald. Monroe changed his mind by promising to attend Fitzgerald's shows, sitting prominently in the front row. This guarantee secured Fitzgerald's performance and attracted extensive media coverage. Fitzgerald acknowledged Monroe's immense impact on her career, crediting her with the opportunity.